Come on.
We have audio.
I hope so. Our little gauges are bouncing.
They weren't bouncing last week.
No, they were when I tested it before we came in, but then that's right, the app had crashed. All right, I think we are up on all the things.
We're getting going. All right, welcome everybody to the 034 Motorsport live chat. I'm Javad Shadzi. This is Nate Stewart. We're going to answer all your 034 Motorsport questions. Anything you'd like to know, ask away in the social media field/app of your choice.
However you're able to see us.
We like to weigh in on controversial topics if you'd like. We take a no BS approach to responding. We answer any and all questions. Again, if you ask a question about updates and stuff like that, we may not respond just because we're trying to get to the actual questions, and a lot of the update we don't really have good answers for.
It's coming as quick as it can.
Yeah, exactly. So, did I miss anything?
Monday.
Yeah, we're actually doing it on a Monday this week. So.
Despite illness's best efforts this weekend.
Yeah, wasn't sure.
I actually just got an update on that too.
Again,
still have.
Yeah, I know. That's the best diet. Like, you just have no desire to eat. Yeah. All right, we got some questions rolling in. So, we've been woofed. So, woof woof. Cheers. Enjoy your lunch, whatever it is. Has 034 ever worked directly with Audi VW? Have they ever asked for feedback on design implementation, etc.? Just curious how they view aftermarket companies. Yeah, so the answer is basically no. However, we have had moments here and there where we've had the opportunity to work with some version of Audi. When we raced in the 25 Hours of Thunderhill, we had the pleasure to work with some factory Audi engineers and race technicians who helped us. As it was more as a function of the TTRS VLN car that we were campaigning. And so Audi provided some support, but we definitely got, some deeper.
Oh yeah, anytime you're working, at a peer level with crew like that, it's give and take both ways. Audi was very hyper vigilant with that car, especially the first year it was out. Yeah, it was the first VLN car that ever left Europe at all. So they wanted to make sure it had a good showing.
Then another time we were contacted actually by Audi directly, and they were interested in. I think they were exploring. I probably signed some NDA, but they can go fuck themselves.
But it was
because
that program went and died on whatever vine it grew from.
There was some super secret program that they wanted us to be involved in, and we put a lot of time and effort into working with them on that. And then one day they just cut us off.
The program just.
And I'd somewhat become friends with the individuals that were part of it, and I emailed them. I found them on LinkedIn. I found them on Facebook, and none of them would respond to me. I don't know.
It was strange.
I don't know what happened with the program. I never heard, but
it was a huge long shot. What they were.
Well, it was, but they could have just said.
They could have been much more professional.
They could have said, that didn't get approved, But I almost feel like they wanted to get under the hood of some aftermarket company as well, and they were able to do that. I know they met with some other companies in our industry as well. So, but no, when it comes to what does Audi think of the aftermarket, they don't like it. They hate us, and they would just like us all to go away.
But it depends who in Audi you ask. So that's from a bureaucracy and
who in Audi likes
all of the engineers, the development side, all of the people that work.
But that's personal.
They're all driving around modded and
But that's not Audi.
That's not Audi corporate.
And Nate is right. Like if the times that when we went and when I went to Laguna Seca and I drove in the R8 experience,
Oh, that's right. That
was like 4 or 5 years ago. I was like a little bit of a celebrity, like with the Audi people, with the people running the product. I wasn't a celebrity. They didn't ask for my autograph, but they all knew who I was.
Right. You're a known figure.
We're like talking about products and things they've done. And to your point, they all had 034 Motorsport products on their Audis and stuff, which is cool. But I'm talking about Audi corporate.
Yeah.
It's a very German mentality. They want complete control, and they don't see the value in the aftermarket. And I think the frustrating thing for us and for me is, personally, like me, Javad Shadzi, I have sold tens of thousands of Audis for Audi.
Right.
Personally, in my own life, I've sold dozens and dozens of Audis to friends and family who come to me and say, hey, what should I get?
But yeah, when you have a thriving aftermarket for a car, well, for enthusiast cars like these S models and the GTI and the Volkswagen side, like it drives the sales. Like when people see there's a huge potential for these cars and they can really make it their own.
We generate tremendous enthusiasm for Audi, for the brand. It does drive their new car sales. It drives their aftermarket parts sales, support and service, all of it. But they don't really see that. So we're a little bummed. We would like to work closer. It's neat. You see, like on the American, like GM Ford side, you see those companies working directly with SEMA and the automotive aftermarket, with companies directly. You have companies like Shelby and or the guys in Texas, Hennessy. They work quite closely with the factories, and even I know Ford and GM even publish like full CAD models of the vehicels.
The amount of data you have access to with some of these other companies is just...
So you don't even have to go in and scan the car. You can get through SEMA.
So the SEMA data exchange for those kind of companies is the holy grail we would consider to what we're trying to work with.
But those companies realize the importance of the aftermarket. I mean, going back to the 60s and 50s, the hot rodding movement, they've picked up on that. And so they know that hot rodding and tuning and modifying, it drives enthusiasm for the brand. You have cult followings of people on one side who think the Ford Mustang is the best car ever, to crash into crowds, and then on the other side, the Camaro or the Corvette, these rivalries. But it's all based in aftermarket enthusiasm. And on the Volkswagen Audi side, they just don't care. I think BMW is a little bit better. They
BMW's definitely had
club racing
aftermarket built in. The aftermarket support.
They directly support club racing,
which it's a little higher end than the VLN stuff. Was certainly you're a privateer, but you have access to Audi's members.
Audi customer racing has
program
bridged the gap a little bit, but BMW,
it's certainly not a club level, but that is big money stuff.
Well, BMW is going back decades and decades doing this.
Yes.
So. Would 034 enter the 25 hours of Thunderhill again? Probably not.
We had a really good reason to push an endurance example for something.
Well, part of our business used to be campaigning race cars.
Mm-hmm.
We raced ourselves for years, and then we would sell a service where you basically want to go, Joe Schmuckatelli, you want to go racing. And so, either you buy a car and you bring it to us, or we supply you a car, we sell you a car, we build it for you, and then you just show up at the track. And we are there with your car, we're there with crew, with fuel, with everything you need to race. And it's not cheap, but you pay 20, 30, 40 grand a race, and you just drive up in your Porsche and you show up and you get in the car and you race. And then the car breaks. We bring it back here, we rebuild it, we fix it, we get it ready. And so we did all the racing logistics, everything, from
and these are
grocery shopping, we would crew to everything.
Yeah, we would build and develop some aspect of the car, but generally it was starting with a car that was already, a race car that somebody wanted to campaign, and they just needed a team around that car to really bring it together.
Oh, we could also build a car from the ground up too. So a lot of when Nate and I are up here, spouting knowledge about everything cars, it's a lot of it is from our experience, racing like that for 15 years. At this point, we have shifted. Our business model no longer involves racing. It's not a good way to make money, unfortunately.
It is.
We would spend a lot of time and energy running these racing programs, and we might, you know, we might have like 10, 15, 20 grand at the end of the year to show.
Well, and it's such a it's racing. So I mean, you can put any amount of effort in, and then some guy can take you out to corner number one. Like, you know, there's no it's the most heart wrenching sport that you're just left at the whim of, you know, 40 other people on the field.
So in about 2013, 2014, it really occurred to me that if we spent the amount of time that we do racing developing aftermarket tuning products, we could actually be like a really legit tuning company. Like, we could compete with APR and, you know, the bigger tuning companies of the time, and we have done that. You know, we went from being a relatively small niche player to being a major aftermarket tuning force in the Volkswagen Audi segment, and we're easily in the top 5 biggest Volkswagen Audi tuners in the world. And I would say we could even be the top 2 or 3 now. Yeah. But it was a result of shifting our focus from kind of the racing and tuning. We did Pikes Peak, we did Bonneville, we raced in Grand Am, we raced in SCCA, we did Time Attack, Redline Time Attack, we did, what's the one now? Redline ended, and I mean, all the time.
It was
global Time Attack. We did. And we were time attacking with Cobb and GSE, and, you know, we were racing with some of the biggest names in that. The only thing we never really did was drifting, and we didn't really get too much into rally racing. Although we supported a handful, quite a few customers that did it. So,
and same thing with drifting. So.
Yeah, and we support drift people too, but we never built a drift car. And we built GTI RS, we built a Time Attack A4. Yeah, we would race at the Eurotuner GP.
The Eurotuner GP definitely
and we would sweep the events every year. So we used to really be into that. But it did occur to me at some point, like, we've learned a lot from this. I don't know how much more we can gain. And we really need to focus this effort on developing products. And that's what we've done.
Well, which I think we spun the final chapter of the Eurotuner GP with the S3.
Yeah, the S3.
We had put a lot of that focus into, you know, the product line and giving, you know, a more, you know, all-encompassing product line for these vehicles. And the S3, the S3 really was the first full effort towards that. And then we just took our product catalog to the Eurotuner GP and swept it again.
And that was the concept, is we went to the Eurotuner GP with a stock S3 with all of our products off the shelf, and we won.
Yeah, and anybody could have built the car.
So anyone could build that car, and our S3 with off-the-shelf parts beat tuner cars with custom tuning, with big turbo kits and all this stuff, you know. So that was kind of when it clicked for us, like, we could really do this. And this is something that will be really great. Someone's asking, do you know anyone named Joe Schmuckatelli? I don't, but
I've never heard it anywhere else either. It's
if I ever meet someone,
it's a construct inside of the job.
If I ever meet someone named Joe Schmuckatelli, I will be prepared to fight them, because I've said so many terrible things about them.
They're coming for you.
Yeah, but I have developed a special set of skills to kill somebody named Joe Schmuckatelli. I would never kill anyone else. But if your name's Joe Schmuckatelli and you want to come after me, I'm just letting you know.
Just steer clear.
First of all, fuck you, Joe Schmuckatelli. And second of all, I'm ready for you. Will 034 be at SEMA? Yes, we will. We will be there. We don't have a booth this year. We opted out of a booth in favor of being more available to our wholesale dealers. Mm-hmm. So if you are a wholesale dealer of 034 and you'd like to meet with us, please reach out to us. You should have gotten an email about it already.
Yeah, booths are kind of a terrible place to do meetings.
We have a meeting room that we'd love to sit down with you and meet. And then we will just simply be there. So yeah, I mean, we were going to have a car there, but we kind of got screwed by the company that had promised us a spot. So. Right. Anyways, MP, our parent company, will have a booth there, and definitely go by and see the MP booth, but there won't be anything 034 there. I heard the mobile flashing app is in beta. When is the release? Well, anything that's in beta means that we're still evaluating the functionality and
more widespread testing.
So once and we're getting a lot of feedback right now, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's driving changes and updates and optimizations to the app. Once those are finished, we will set a date to release. I will say tentatively, like, don't get too worked up about this.
Every time we set a deadline,
we're currently discussing a release date within about 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Yeah,
not 2 weeks from now, but in around 2 or 3 weeks. Hopefully sooner, depending on how beta goes. But we went into beta with a developed app.
It's solid. Yeah, I mean, we've had the feedback has just been a couple of UI things that we know we're working on the UI aspect. It's more the nuts and bolts under the hood. That was the biggest thing we wanted to get locked down first. And we had a bunch of people flashing the cars, sending in data logs, doing everything there. The fault code checking, scanning, clearing, all the tools and widgets. So it's going really well right now.
All right, a lot of questions. What's the turnaround for customer support, email, and product issues? We're generally shooting for a 24-hour response time, and I think that's about what it is currently.
During business days.
Yeah,
during Monday through Friday.
Weekends are tricky.
Not on weekends. Yeah. People are asking about the 2023 TCU unlocks. I'll just say there's one company that's making it sound like they've unlocked it.
Yeah,
but
they're not there yet for a solution that anybody's seen. And
it's not clear what they're doing or what they've even accomplished. It's a little hypey, but unfortunately the TCU has not been unlocked. The industry has not unlocked it. It's still
in the early phases.
TCU, but it's possible there's some vulnerability that's been cracked, but we don't really know how that's been accomplished. It could be that they're able to do it like in a laboratory setting on the bench, but it's not going to ever be. What they're doing isn't ready for production.
We don't know what we don't know what these other.
Well, we know that they haven't said it is. They haven't given us any indication.
There's been no information
that it is. So it's like I said. I think they've done a good job at generating some hype, but the substance of what they're doing and whether it's available to customers or purchasable,
right? Yeah, be wary because
I'd be
they might be really close to having a full release. It's something we are working on as well. But when you see information like this that pops up, and it's like we've got a solution, where it's not said what that solution is or any kind of like, hey, this is going to be available. You're going to be able to port flash this, or not even that level of information has been let out yet. So it's tough when everybody jumps on it and just assumes they've got this full, applicable, offering that may be months or who knows how long away. So.
I'll just finish by saying it's not as encouraging as it sounds, but they've done something and nobody's really sure what it is. So.
It's it's an interesting way to.
Well, a lot of people know who they are that never knew who they were 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So I think that's definitely working. Thanks for the insight of the 401 bootloaders. Glad all the big companies are still adamantly trying to get this.
No.
I mean, it's a big priority for everyone because it is one of these things that really is holding up progress. So, but as far as like, is it going to be out in 2 weeks? No, nobody knows. I have a B9 S4 with sport diff and suspension. Just added 034 lowering springs. Would a rear swaybar make a noticeable difference / improvement?
Huge. Yes. That is one of the largest, most transformative differences you'll find.
Yeah, it's literally the biggest difference you can make, pretty much. When you're tuning a car like this for a bolt-on mod. So, I would recommend either the rear or the combination, the Dive Plus swaybar kit. But both will make dramatic differences and improvements. You can read about them on the webpage. Is the downpipe for the Mk8 GTI about to release since the Mk8 R downpipe just came out? It's close. The GTI version needed some additional adjustments that delayed the release. We would have released them at the same time. So the Golf R was ready to go, so we released that, and we're just, I think, doing some final checks on the GTI. I don't have any dates or anything like that, but yes, it is coming. For the Mk8 Golf R, is there a difference between stage 1 and stage 2 low torque other than clearing code for downpipe?
I mean, it's all of the other changes that are in the the stage 2 file, which there's going to be some boost control changes and
higher horsepower.
The torque, no, because it's capped at torque on those. Those go right up to redline. I think it is a tiny bit more power on at redline.
Yeah, I mean it's going to have more horsepower.
You're going to have more up there,
but now the stage 2, the problem with the low torque files is they're low torque, so.
And we're able to ride basically that limit almost to redline with these cars. So, yep.
For Mk8 GTI, what other products do you guys have coming out soon, performance-wise? The Mk8 wasn't as different as the Mk7 could have been. So a lot of the mods were immediately available. We do have GTI springs coming out. We have PowerMax turbo tuning kits coming out, fueling upgrades, including what does everyone call it? Stage injection, the DFI,
MPI injection. Oh yeah.
Full form wheels are coming. We already have intakes and sway bars and inserts and all the standard stuff that we do. So yeah, there's a lot more coming, and it's early in development for those. Can we share 034 tune flashers? Yeah, our flashing cables, dongles.
We're being asked to find a new name for it, so I want to throw that out there too. Is what would you guys call these devices? Because it was traditionally called a flashing cable. Obviously, it's its own standalone device that you can just plug into an OBD port and talk to it wirelessly now, so it's not really a cable.
But yeah, they are not locked to the VIN, so you can use the cable to flash any car. In general, obviously, we recommend that you own your own cable so you can conveniently flash.
Yep. And
we've had issues where customers were trying to share cables and couldn't get access to their cable or flasher or whatever.
Yeah. Especially with mobile coming out, and there's so many more features we're adding to the software that you're going to have access to for fault code checking, logging, and all that. So,
but we don't stop you from doing it. So anyone can flash any 034 account with any cable. Any suggested fuel oil additives that actually work, or best to use none? I recommend the factory Volkswagen Audi fuel additive. It's gonna help clean your injectors and your fuel system. Recommended by Audi, something that they supply. A lot of the stuff in your friendly local auto parts store, the flaps, I don't recommend. I think there's a lot of bullshit out there, and a lot of it's just who knows what's in it. Could just be some paint thinner or ethanol or
there's
toluene.
It's so sketchy, all those things. And how do you actually test it? And there's almost no qualifications or real lab testing of the results on any of them.
There's a lot of hype. Honestly, it's not that different than diet supplements or penis enlargements. I don't know if we have any penis enlargement customers out here listening, but you got to be really skeptical to anything you hear about claims of enlarging your penis using these products. It's the same thing with the fuel system cleaners. Are you planning on releasing a flex fuel tune for the Mk8 GTI? We are planning on doing flex fuel. It's not going to be in the next few weeks or anything.
Right.
It is something that we are continually working on. It is a product feature that we want to add, an advanced feature that we want to add. So we have, up till now, chosen to focus on what we believe are higher value tunes, calibrations, and
vast majority of the market
advanced features like mobile flashing.
Right. Well, that definitely is a high priority right now. But just the market in general, I think it's still a little early for a lot of hardcore hardware.
Yep. What's holding the platform back from more power? Is it the turbo selection or lack of built motor parts? B9S4. I mean, there's nothing holding the platform back from making a shit ton of power. There's no reason you can't today. Like, you could come here, you could spend, I don't know, 15 grand, and tomorrow you can have 750 horsepower B9S4. So that's pretty
we've
good.
got customers running 9-second stuff on, just off the shelf parts. Like, that's, I always wonder if the people asking these questions are the guys that have done that yet, or they're sitting back waiting for some exorbitant number from the internet to fall out of the sky.
But if we're talking about going beyond that, yes, built motors, bigger turbos, more fuel system capacity.
Yeah, everything's right now
calibrations
at the same limit, and we need to go further. You need kind of all those three in unison to do that. So it gets to be a much bigger build.
We're kind of at a precipice in the tuning progress, where we need like kind of a leap or a paradigm shift in tuning products and capability. But you see this with every tuning platform. So we've optimized or maximized the amount of power that we can make with the stock motor and the stock fueling system. We're pretty much there. So now these aren't like small little progressive steps. We need a big jump. So if you want to make 1,000 horsepower, you're going to need a built motor, bigger turbo, more fuel system capacity, and tuning to support that. We will be able to support all those products. But since it's kind of a big jump, we're working on it, and we will release more as it becomes available and ready for prime time. For the time being, if you want to tune your B9S4, I recommend, getting comfortable with kind of a 700 to 800 horsepower opportunity, and then working on maximizing that. And I think in the next year or two, some of these, but it's not going to be cheap to make 1,000 horsepower. It is going to be
these three things we're talking about all kind of have to happen for that to work.
It's been pretty darn cheap up till now. And I know, a TTA 10 isn't cheap, but you're talking about a $4,500 turbo or whatever.
What other generation of
the tuning kit? I mean, like I said, it's like 10, 15 grand, and you're in a 0 to 60 in 2 seconds car. Like, you could take on a Plaid or something, at a fourth of the price. So yeah, but it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be a big jump, just because we're talking motors now, and that is kind of a big hurdle for a lot of people. You're talking about, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 grand to build a motor, and then the turbo kit. These bigger turbos aren't going to be cheaper. So yeah, anyways, that's where we're at. Tell people we already covered is this a question or a comment?
No, it's a Nick comment.
Oh, okay. So we have already covered the mobile app updates. If you'd like, you can rewind on Facebook or YouTube to see this. We did discuss this about 15 minutes ago, probably. Is there anything you can share more on the JE pistons? Will anything else be needed that isn't released yet for the B9 engine build? The JE pistons are lower compression. They're a much stronger design than the factory piston. They are machined from a forging. So there's an ingot or a billet of aluminum that's heated up and then smashed into the shape of a piston, and then the final machining features, like for the wrist pin, the combustion chamber, and the skirts, are CNC machined. It's a very strong alloy. They will have anti-friction coatings on the skirts, like all aluminum block pistons should have. They use a really high quality Japanese piston ring package. We'll release all the details very soon. The pistons are done. They're getting coated right now. They're 10-to-1 compression, which is the same compression as RS5. Mm-hmm. And they're factory bore, I believe. So, actually, what is the bore on those?
We don't have the specs in front of us.
B9, can I put E85 1 gallon in the tank of 93 to see if timing corrections are fuel quality issue? Can it damage anything? Trying to figure out why stage 193 pulls timing. New plugs, 20,000 miles total. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with putting 1 gallon in a full tank, and it will bump up your octane. It's not going to stress your fuel system capacity or affect the tuning too much.
What you can also do is drop the like the 91 file and see if you're getting the exact same corrections.
That's a great suggestion.
If you are, then it's a noise issue or something else we're fighting there, and not actually an octane thing. So that's another way you can just without any extra effort, just flash a 91 file on it, see if it's exactly the same. We have seen that before on other some platforms where it's a NOx sensor issue itself, and you get all these corrections that don't go away regardless of octane. Not saying that's the case here, but that's just an easy test.
Someone says, without 034, I wouldn't have bought my B8.5 S4, and I wouldn't currently own my C7.5 S6 and 4MQ7. Granted, they were all used, but nonetheless, you guys are still driving on. Yeah, I mean, we definitely drive aftermarket.
And a strong used market drives a strong new car sales. If your resale is maintained, you're going to sell more cars, and that brand is going to be a stronger brand if they've got following. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
and we see that a lot.
And eventually, you're probably going to buy a new Audi if you really want to. You could. We and companies like us really do help drive enthusiasm for the brand, and you driving your Audis causes other people to see them. And actually, the number one way people decide to buy a car or get interested in a particular car is they see it. They see it in a parking lot, or they see it driving down the road, and they're like, "That looks nice. I'd like to look into that."
Yeah, well, and now you're also a champion for the brand as well, because you've come to love the offerings and the support and the fun you've had with the various models,
and will very likely talk someone into buying a new car at some point. So it all it's just a whole ecosystem that grows when people are enthusiastic. I mean, a little aside, that is what we are good at. 034 is good at driving enthusiasm. That's kind of at the core of what we do. We express that, through engineering and R&D and manufacturing, but without driving enthusiasm, Nate and I started this Facebook or this forum called Motor Geek. It's still a thing. Go around, look at motorgeek.com.
We do not manage it anymore.
We sold it. Yeah, but that page, I was able to really drive a lot of enthusiasm for tuning Audis through that page. I had this thread, this build thread for my ADTQ, and I would update it, and it was like thousands of people followed that thread, waiting to see what I would do next or what I would do. I've since done that in the DIY speaker building world. I have the biggest speaker building group on earth on Facebook, and I use that to just make people excited about building speakers. So that's something that I'm good at. I'm good at getting other people excited about doing things by showing them how to do cool stuff, and I get really good at it. I know I post a lot about cooking on my Facebook, and I've inspired hundreds and hundreds of people to take on cooking, or to make the things that I cook, or to engage with different kind of cooking or recipe, cooking techniques or recipes. I used to support like dozens of people every Thanksgiving. I'm like,
yes,
I had like a turkey hotline. People are like
stuffing central,
texting me pictures of their turkey and the temperature, and I'm telling them what to do to measure to make sure they don't overcook it. So I'm in general just good at driving enthusiasm, and that's why 034 is successful, is because we have all gotten really good at doing that. There's more questions about TCU patch files. I don't know what we can say.
Yeah, there's not much more we can say on that right now.
Someone's asking, is there a different patch file for E85?
So that question was the technical one. That was so the B9 is we have a ECU patch for stock TCU on the B9. They're asking if there's a difference or if they need a different patch from E85 to 91. No, you don't. It's the same patch. It basically just allows the TCU to see, or the ECU to report the full range of torque to the TCU. So the TCU is still going to see the proper torque going to it.
Yeah.
Regardless of the file being in.
B8.5 cams progress. So good news is we do have B8.5 cams here in stock. We are working with a customer to just do one last install and verification to make sure they're perfect. If you would like to purchase some, please reach out to us. We can put your name on a set. We only brought in 5 sets for now.
The initial of this grind, yeah.
Yeah, because we had to have them custom ground. And then once we verify that, we'll start shipping. So if you want to place an order, you can, or at least get on the list. We have 3 left. Yeah, so we've 2 have been committed and sold. So yeah, that's the 8.5 cams. Mm-hmm. We did it. We got it done. So someone says just call it a tuner or dongle. Agreed that cable is just odd.
Yeah, but what
we've always called it a cable, but now
because it was always tethered. But
people are confused about the USB cable and do they need the cable? It's a new cable, and they iPhone just came out with a USB cable, and so it gets a little confusing.
Yeah, but then what's a dongle? Dongle is usually something you plug into a computer, and it's a device that plugs into a computer for something. So yeah, it's.
How about we call it a dongle tuner cable?
A tongle.
Hey guys, love the work you're doing on the B9 platform. On the B9 S5 and S4 platforms, which stage 3 upgrade would you personally choose out of the TTE A10 and the Pure 50 and Pure 750 and why? Oh, that's a good question. I think I would go with the A10 just because it's more powerful.
Yeah,
it makes more power.
Yep.
It spools up faster.
Efficiency wise,
yeah.
The king of the hill right now.
I don't think you can go wrong with either. The 750 will save you some money.
Yes, not an insignificant amount.
But I think if I was just going to do it, I'd do the A10. It's that turbo just does everything well. And if I was concerned about output, I'd just run the standard. I love your current wheel design, but would like something a bit more cost effective. Do you have a lower priced wheel that keeps the same look and still high quality? Yes. Thanks to this question, we went and grabbed a wheel. This is our upcoming ZTF LP01 wheel. So this is a flow formed wheel. We are bringing lots of these in currently.
Lots of them.
We will. The idea is to have them for sale in the next month or so. These are much less expensive, but still very high quality. They're a good value, I think. What are we looking at for a set? It's going to be like in the under 1,500. Under 1,500 for a set. In some cases, even less. We will have 4 different colors.
2 different sizes.
I think we've got rose gold, bubblegum, strawberry fields forever. Is that what we're calling the
rainbow
other one?
unicorn?
The frosted.
Yeah, I don't know. The kids these days like some weird colors, but I like silver. I like that kid that says I like turtles, but I just say I like silver.
I like silver.
No, it's going to be,
and it's not just silver; it's hyper silver.
And
colors.
Hyper silver, bronze,
Anthracite,
which is our current color, and then black.
Satin black.
Satin
black.
What is
and
it
satin
called?
bronze. Bronze.
Satin bronze. And satin
What's the black? Satin black? Is that what it's called? So we'll have those 4 colors. Like I said, I like
so
hyper
like
silver or anthracite.
I'm explaining some info here.
Oh, okay.
18 by 8.5, we're looking at about 1250 a set, and for the 19 by 9.3, around 1350.
And all our 66.6 millimeter bore, but they include hub centric rings for various fitments.
Yeah. So most of the bag world, thankfully, it's just 2. Typically, it's the 66.6 and the 57.1.
And then we will also be offering a 50% off replacement wheel program in case you damage the wheel. Now the wheels will have a warranty, although if you hit a big pothole or something, you're on your own.
Yeah, it's a manufacturing warranty.
These are very strong. Our goal was to make them the strongest and lightest combination on the market. In some cases, we have sacrificed some weight for strength. There's just no free lunch there. You can do a lot with the engineering and the geometry, but at some point, you just need material for strength. And we have run Flowform wheels from some pretty popular brands out there and have left with a really bad taste in our mouth at how easy they were to bend. So our goal was, to not have a really easy bending wheel. However, they're also light. But if you really want the lightest, strongest wheel around, you could just kind of leave it there.
Yeah,
Our RP01 wheels are going to be the way to go, which are fully forged. All right. If anyone has any questions about the wheels, let us know. Recommended. Yeah, I'm not going to say that last one next. Right? Nice try, though. Recommended suspension handling mods for the 8S TTS that sees daily driving and occasional weekend road course use. I would take a look at our whole catalog. I mean, there's nothing in that we offer for that platform that's not streetable and trackable.
Yeah, our TTRS was phenomenal.
Now we don't do a spring for that, I don't think.
The TTS, not currently.
The
TTRS.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, because
yeah.
Okay, so you can run our springs. I'd recommend our camber plates, all of our inserts, our sway bars. It's going to be a really nicely dialed. Look into our RCO control arms, our ball joints. You can combine with whatever strut mounts you need. But yeah, that car is a weapon when it's set up right. And with our tuning, you can also get a lot of power too.
Yeah,
because those have the bigger turbo.
Yep,
the
IS-38 motor.
Yeah, the IS-38. I got it right.
You got it right. My first time instantly converted that. Like, I said KO4 again.
Oh, you
I internally left it up.
B9 3.0T does R 3.0 improve timing corrections compared to R 2.2. R 3.0 does have upshift bangs, one large crackle from first to second, and way less upshift pops from 2 to 3. Is this an expected change?
So there was a number of changes that didn't affect shift. I don't know how to even explain this. Active shift timing. And so, yeah, there might be some audible changes. The crackles on upshift was not that wasn't a reason we changed anything. That was a side effect. So yeah, there may be less, crackles there, but it's for the benefit of the more repetitive shifting performance. So, yeah.
And then as a follow-up, he asks, is it dangerous to drive with much timing correction?
You're going to have to qualify what much is.
What would you say is kind of...
we like to see, it depends on the octane, too. E85 stuff, in race fuels, we generally see 0 or thereabouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
91, 93, it's going to vary a little more depending on the quality of the fuel, but I want to start 4 to 5 is usually where, I don't like
generally
more over that. It's going to depend on the car and the situation. And if it's just like one little tinkle here and there, you'll get a correction event here and there, that's usually nothing to worry about. If it's like all your cylinders suddenly rail to negative 10 degrees or something, you got something wrong there. It's some terrible gas or something has happened.
Yep. Is Quattro rumble a concern?
What is Quattro?
I'm not sure I know what that is. I will say, if you're in a Quattro and you're in a parking lot, let's say, and you do a really tight turn, you will hear some amount of the tires and the diff working.
I feel like that's more sport diffy than Quattro.
Definitely sport diffy. The older cars definitely were noticeable doing that, especially if it big sticky tires.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even know if I call it a Quattro rumble, but you will hear a little bit of the diffs, and the tires kind of moaning or groaning. I would call it a Quattro moan. So I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you're just referring to some added NVH, that's not necessarily from Quattro. That's just you're hearing the drivetrain, the road, and things like that coming through stiffer mounts.
Yeah, they continue to say at 50,000 miles, a new vibration is quite apparent. So, there's something else going on in there.
It could be an issue with your drive shaft or an axle or a wheel bearing.
Wheel simply maybe out of balance.
Yeah, so I definitely have it looked at. What engine oil do you guys recommend for a bolt-on tuned B9 S4 with over 100,000 miles on it?
There's a lot. There's a number of good brands out there. We run Motul and a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Motul,
Liquimolly's
really good. But I mean, so is Mobile One, and
there's a lot.
So I don't hear about like a lot of bad oil. I would stay away.
Well, I would look at there are, and you'll see this thankfully now on any good oil is they list the specifications that they meet now. And if you actually look up kind of what goes into to meeting those specifications that the OEMs put out, it's no joke.
Yeah.
So if you've got an oil that satisfies that OEM spec, it's going to put you into a pretty good place. But then there's stuff above and beyond that is where you start looking at
part of the question could be what viscosity, and you can always run the SQ5 spec oil, which is a little thicker oil, or you can go even thicker from there if you want, but you really shouldn't need to. 100,000 miles isn't necessarily any more than 10,000 miles when it comes to motor wear. You could do a compression and leak down.
Crash 10,000.
Yeah. Do a compression and leak down. If you have good ring sealing, it's basically a brand new motor. The main and rod bearings don't wear. There should be no contact with those components. Those should last 1 million miles. So it's more of like wearing your rings out. When you guys finish the Mercracing MR1900 tune, will you be selling it as a new buyer-based tune, like when you switch, or will you do like a small fee? Yeah, so we haven't 100% committed to doing anything, but internally we have discussed doing an upgrade cost. So if you already have a 034 stage 1 or stage 2 tune, you will see a discount. And if you're brand new and coming in, you'll pay a higher price. But if you're currently a 034 tuning customer for the B8, then you will get credit towards some credit towards your previous purchase. We're not treating it like a normal stage 1, stage 2 upgrade, because this is a totally new calibration, and that's a lot of work and a lot of effort. So we do need to recoup those expenses, but you will benefit from being a 034 customer, and it'll be a sizable discount. Possible power gains benefits from B9 cams. I talked about this last week. They're going to be minimal compared to small changes in turbo tuning or the calibration.
Yeah, the B9 and a lot of the more modern motors, you've got adjustability on both cams too, which kind of makes aftermarket cams less of a thing. Where you can change your lobe centers, and you're looking at some duration and lift changes, which will get you some, but on a turbo motor, it's kind of hard.
The cams really made sense for the B8 because it's a supercharged application, and
it's a single variable, so
you can make more power with the cams, like quite a bit more power. I think there would be power to be made on the B9 too. It's just you have to start asking yourself, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Given how much you can do without cams. Cams will never be like a limiting power issue.
Yeah, and it's a whole nother. The power adder change on the B9 is so much easier than the B8 stuff.
Yeah,
we're just getting there with the B8. There's like a dozen options for the B9 already.
Mm-hmm. What were you and Nate doing before 034? Good question.
Depends how far back you go.
Nate was fixing printers before, and then he came here and just started fixing
printers, and then I brought that expertise here.
Yeah. No, you were
my last official job before 034. Yeah, I was a pharmaceutical. I can't remember the title now, but I kept the pharmacy's computer systems running in a bunch of pharmacies along the East Coast. So when you walk into like a mom and pop pharmacy, they've got a computer system that ties back to some central, data center. And, all that has to work together, and kept all those running, and the printers printing.
Mm-hmm. So I worked at this company called New Dimensions up through like 2000, 2001, which was a version of what we do now at 034. It was a tuning company. You can look them up online. We developed some really nice turbo kits for like the Mark III Golf. We'd take the car from 110 horsepower to 200 to 250 horsepower, bolt-on kits. But that company was very poorly run, and I finally had enough, and so I left. I was offered a job at a video production company to help them enter a whole new market. It was basically a startup type situation. And so I left New Dimensions, and I did a lot of good work at that company, and I was able to kind of parlay a lot of my experience from that to 034. But when I was at New Dimensions, I started doing 034. I started developing some of the 034 products at that point. So I was kind of working two jobs for a long time. And I continued and actually ramped up my 034 time and energy while I was at the video production company, because that wasn't as fulfilling for me creatively. So, I would go there, I'd put in my 8 hours, and then I really wanted to do some car stuff, So I actually started developing, my working relationship with Nate at that time. And
yeah, I was going to mention that after you.
So we were both doing like 034 since kind of like 2001.
Yeah, and there'd been years of like that, that kind of the dual job thing. Maybe Motor Geek, its heyday, was just getting going before I had even left, that last job. So
yeah,
it used to run on a server that I built in my office at my last job, and it sat literally on my desk in front of me for years. We've definitely been a part of this whole world for quite some time.
But in 2005, in April, I took the jump and I quit my video production job. And I drove to Mountain View one morning, and then the next morning I drove to Fremont, which our original shop was just a few miles from here. And the rest is history. So,
4 months later, I was...
Yeah, and then you came out that fall.
Yep.
So I think I was like, all right, Nate, I'm doing it. Are you coming? And he was like, I'll sell everything.
Pack it in a Penske truck and on my way.
Yep.
Literally, my 90 twin turbo V8 90 was
in
the back of a Penske truck. Or maybe it was Alex's when I was on the trailer. I don't know. But we had 2 Tornado Red 90s packed and driving across the country.
Will cams be compatible with the MR1900 tune? I want cams now, but I'm unsure if I should wait. Yes, they will be.
And they will be. And we're doing tuning on. So our in-house car has the cams on it currently, and then we're also working with getting data on non-cammed cars.
Mm-hmm. And it'll just help make more power, whether you're on the stock supercharger or the 1900.
Yep.
We have B8 and B8.5 cams, currently. So
yep.
Let's see, we got a number of questions left. Still loving the Stage 3 Plus TTE 810. Is there any performance benefit to installing the S34, or is it just more whoosh, which I like?
Coming from a stock intake, yeah.
If you have a stock intake, yes, there's quite a bit of power to be gained. So I would strongly recommend an intake upgrade. And yes, more whoosh. RS5 inlet, will it be available by the end of the year? Possibly. We're just finalizing the design currently. I actually showed
the turbo one
week. Yeah. So, if not by the end of the year, very soon after that, it's coming. But it's tough always saying.
Yeah.
That's out in the future. So, it's definitely coming though. Thoughts on all the issues Bugs IE has had with their mobile tuning? Do you anticipate having the same issues, or is that what you guys are working through prior to release?
I honestly don't. I haven't paid attention, to be frank.
I've heard of the complaints.
Yeah, I have not.
Have you guys?
I probably should keep a closer eye on that, but we're doing our own thing. We've got our own
release, but it seems they've got everything sorted.
No, but I mean that's the problem.
Yeah,
we're about to do first release.
Yes. So
no, we will not have the same type of problem.
We're completely different. It's our own software through and through. So,
and that's what that's why we take these thorough approaches, doing really detailed beta releases.
Yeah, and we're right.
By the time we release it, hundreds of people will have used the mobile app.
Yeah.
successfully without issues. So that bodes really well for releasing it. I mean, at that point, we're just doing more of what works by giving people more access to it. So no, we really don't like that kind of stuff happening. I really hate that. It's embarrassing.
That's
and it puts a bad taste in customers' mouths.
Just ask Javad when I say software is ready to release. It's like, no, let's still work on it. There's still some stuff I want to
say. We want, when you use the mobile app, we want you to have a great experience. That's what we need you to have. So if it means delaying the release a couple months to make sure that everybody's happy, that's what we've learned over the years. Now, we've made that mistake so many times. Earlier in the company's history, we would release stuff way before it was ready in hopes that it would just be okay. And the pain of releasing things early does not justify it.
You get more and more, I don't want to say gun shy, but you get more experience with knowing like what is a large enough sample set, what are all the variables I haven't seen or encountered yet, like all these bizarre weird edge cases that you find out about once things get into the field.
You
can test your setup day in and day out, and it's rock solid every single thing you do, but then you get to go with his phone plugged in with jumper cables to something, and it doesn't work right.
There's some crazy comment about a 200 shot of nitrous and triple turbos.
Sounds right.
I don't know if that's a joke.
It's probably crazy.
It's random.
He's got a pseudonym.
Someone's asking about Q7 4M.5 3.0 T tuning. We don't have a release date for that. It's something we're working on. We'll release more information. Do you see the possibility of a bigger turbo than the 810 being possible on a stock motor car? I mean, it's not something that we're really pushing or considering right now, because we do feel like there is a current margin of safety that's there, and it's a good margin of safety, but we wouldn't want to shrink that anymore for customers.
Yeah, it's certain. I mean, it would be just on the top end, if anything.
Yeah.
Because we don't really want to push much more torque through the thing, and then that would also entail larger fueling solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once we kind of jump this paradigm and go get people into built motors, those who decide to, then we can really, we will once again be in this really good position, kind of like we were when we were like stage 1, 2, to really add a lot more power to the platform. So there'll be, at some point the transmission won't be happy. At some point axles will start breaking. At some point your head will just rip off and fall into the back seat. So there are going to be additional.
The seat backs will snap. It just gets there.
Any other questions look really good before we
sign off here? Somebody's asking how locked down modern Audi MMI software versus engine transmission management is. That really depends on the platform. That's a whole nother development series that goes on over there. Nothing that I've played with much other than curiously looking, but it's not too dissimilar. You've got some packages of software updates. They're usually less locked down, but they're also much harder to dig into and recover typically if you have an issue. Let's see. Which one did you say from?
I think the second one there.
This guy?
Yeah.
Why don't you tap into the BMW market more? We have been for a while. It's a whole new market. So getting traction and really moving product there and getting an entire suite of products out just takes time.
Yeah. The biggest issue is, it's the opportunity cost. If we do BMW,
right,
it takes away from our Volkswagen Audi, and we just have a finite number of resources. We can't add a lot more resources to BMW unless it's justified. So we do really well with Volkswagen Audi, and we have a great BMW product line and presence too that's doing well. So if you have a BMW, definitely check out our stuff. And we're not done with BMW by any means. So we will keep releasing. We're looking at doing tuning at some point in the future. So there's more out there for BMW. All right, I think we're out of time. What? what need would justify a wavetrac LSD in a 01E,
Wow.
an 01E or 016? Well, it depends. Okay, so in the transmission, if you could do so this would be the front diff.
As you said, which differential are we talking?
Yeah, no, it would have to be the front diff. I don't recommend it. You don't need an LSD in the front. You need it in the back, and you need a high bias torsion in the center.
Yeah, unless you've already done all those things.
Yeah, but what we found in our testing in the past was that with an LSD in the front, we lost turn in, and the car pushed more. And we weren't really hurting for traction from the front. If we had a high bias diff, if we lifted the inside front tire and spun it, we could send more power to the rear, which also helped the car turn. So I'd strongly recommend a high bias 5-to-1 center diff and a wavetrac in the back, any way you can get it, which usually means a V8 torsion rear diff. But we used to also put B6 A4 rear diffs in the back of Audis. Just requires some fabrication. At that point, you can put in a freaking BMW rear diff or
it's the same ratios.
4-to-1.
Yep.
So
yeah, like what was it, the 944 Porsche was kind of the innards they were using in a lot of those. The rear like pumping or not pumping, the rear diff assembly, clutch plate assembly itself.
I just tapped a part of my brain out.
It's creaking open.
Yeah. All right, I think we're out of time, everybody. So thanks for joining us, and thanks for your questions. We really appreciate it. And we will.
Next week is what? Next week's SEMA.
Next week's SEMA, but I think we could squeeze in a Monday. Yeah, we should be able to squeeze one in. So, all right, cheers, everybody. Later.